Yesterday, he didn't get up at all. He tried to get up at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went and asked the the supervisor, the day supervisor, to help me get him up to go pee, and he said he's faking it.
What did you think when you said that?
I can't get over those words. I got angry.
Well, the city is now investigating after a homeless man was sent to hospital from the Moss Park Armoury yesterday. Now, many here have been telling us that they have been alerting staff for 3 days about the man's deteriorating health. Now, one woman who was in the bed next to him says that she had been complaining since Friday, and she was disturbed by the seeming lack of concern from the staff inside.
The way he was breathing was horrible. So I went out to staff and I said, "Are you sure it's safe to be in that room with that man? And, there's something really wrong with him." And they didn't say anything. They didn't respond at all. I cannot believe this is a city-run place. There's no medical staff, no mental health staff.
Now, initial reports had indicated that the man had died in hospital, but no one had been able to confirm that, not even city shelter staff. They could only tell us that he'd been transported to hospital, and they had no information about what happened to him after that. Now, this afternoon, a street nurse told City News she'd received word that he was in fact alive. Homeless advocates say it's shedding light on the way the city deals with homeless deaths, and the incident has left many here at Moss Park Armoury feeling vulnerable.
People were angry. People were very upset, crying. One woman who was crying was in a wheelchair, and she said, "Listen, I have seizures, and what if I have seizures? Will I get taken care of?" Or people were really concerned that was a big part of what I heard last night, that staff just wasn't hearing them.
Now, coming up, we'll hear from Councillor Joe Mihevc, one of the city's poverty reduction advocates, about what he thinks needs to be done to ensure that the city's homeless population is cared for.
The way he was breathing was horrible. So I went out to staff and I said, "Are you sure it's safe to be in that room with that man? And, there's something really wrong with him." And they didn't say anything. They didn't respond at all.
Well, as we've been telling you throughout the show, city staff are now investigating how staff here at Armoury Park dealt with a homeless man who was sent to hospital yesterday. Now, many here have been telling us that they were complaining about his deteriorating health for 3 days before 911 was finally called after he stopped breathing. Now, until today, city staff still have not been able to confirm with us whether or not he survived, though a street nurse tells us that she does have information that he is alive tonight. The incident is raising questions about the conditions inside shelters like this one here at Moss Park Armoury.
One woman who was crying was in a wheelchair, and she said, "Listen, I have seizures, and what if I have seizures? Will I get taken care of?" Or people were really concerned that was a big part of what I heard last night, that staff just wasn't hearing them.
We certainly feel as a city that every shelter where there are vulnerable people should have medical personnel. That might be a nurse, it might be a doctor visiting, and some of it is attending to emergencies, but most of it is attending to the ailments that people who are very vulnerable living on the street have. So I'm not sure what, and this certainly has to be part of the investigation, I'm not sure what the shelter staff had at Moss Park, but that has to be looked at very closely as well.
Now, the witness that we spoke to and a number of other people actually tell us that there are no medical staff inside this shelter. The city tells us that the procedure is for staff to call paramedics if anyone needs help. Now, there is some disagreement about who dialed 911. City staff tell us it was staff inside this building, but witnesses we spoke with said it was actually someone who was inside the building using the shelter space. Ginella Massa, City News.